The mistake that I rant about the most actually has two parts. Part one, somebody says, we need training, and nobody questions that. And then part two, people assume that training is information delivery. It's getting information into people's brains. So these two assumptions together create basically information dumps. The best thing to do is when somebody says, we need training, is to politely question them and to basically to do the analysis that really should be part of our jobs that I think is getting short shrift these days. What we need to do is to identify what exactly is the problem, how is it affecting the performance of the business, what is a measurable business goal that we want to achieve, and what exactly do people need to do on the job to reach that goal. So it's a very specific analysis, break it down into what it is people need to do. And then there's a further step. We look at each of the behaviors that we want people to do, and we ask, why aren't they doing that? My favorite way to solve this problem is with a flowchart. I'm very fond of flowcharts. And if we take each behavior that we want people to do on the job, we bring it through this flowchart, we come to a branching point that asks, why aren't people doing this now? And there's 4 branches we could go down. One of the branches is it's an environmental problem. So maybe people aren't doing this because they don't have the right tools, they don't have support from management, they're using software that's really hard to use. Some problem with the environment that we could fix without ever having to resort to training. Another branch goes down knowledge. We say this is a knowledge problem. People actually don't know that they have to do this thing, or they don't know how to do it, or they don't know to what level they're supposed to be doing it. Another branch we go down would be the skills branch, where they know they're supposed to do it, but they don't have the cognitive or performance skills necessary to do that. And both of those 2 branches can end up in training, but again, they don't have to. Often the knowledge branch goes down into a job aid. You can solve if it's a straightforward lack of knowledge, they don't know the procedure, often all you need is a job aid, not 30 hours of an online course. The 4th branch is the motivation one, and a lot of people like to leap to that branch and say, our workers aren't motivated, we need to motivate them with training, which is very hard to do. And it's also, if somebody says it's a motivational problem, we need to look very skeptically at it, because often poor motivation is a side effect of a problem with the environment, knowledge, or the skills. It's very unusual for the problem to be solely, oh, I don't want to do it. And in that case, the solution is not necessarily training, it's probably incentives or some other change. The steps to design activity-driven training are what I just said. Identify what exactly people need to do on the job, and you keep that always in mind. So when you go through that flowchart and you get to the point that says, yes, we do need some training, we need to design an activity to help people practice this thing. The activity you design simulates as much as possible the real-world context that they're going to be doing this behavior in. So it's not an activity of click to reveal information or drag and drop facts into buckets. It's practice doing exactly what you need to do on the job. So that makes the activities themselves focused, realistic, and light on information. And then to make it activity-driven, we ideally find a way to start the experience with an activity and to make it feel like a stream of activities. And if there's information that they need to have in an activity, we include it as an optional link if we're doing e-learning. We distribute a job aid and use the job aid in face-to-face training. We don't stand there and present information and expect them to memorize it and then regurgitate it during an activity. In summary, let your designers design. In other words, there's an increasing trend to hire instructional designers that are also expected to create e-learning, to manage the LMS, to be an audio technician, and everything else. I really recommend hiring people and letting them do analysis and instructional design. And the type of analysis that I recommend doing is quick. We're not talking about weeks of surveys. We're not doing that. It's a 2-hour meeting and some more task analysis, and that's your analysis. And the result is efficient, focused, interesting, challenging training that's developed only when training is part of the solution. There is a lot of value in hearing the experiences and opinions of other people, to be exposed to fields that maybe you haven't been exposed to, totally different types of organizations that have found a solution that you hadn't thought of because it's completely out of your world, and you think, whoa, wait, I can do that. I'm going to steal that and apply it in my business. Plus, it's great to be around people who are passionate about our field. It's a great trip.